Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. Corpus Christi ISD's first female athletic director, Brenda Marshall, will retire after 39 years in public education at the end of next month. Marshall has been with the program since 2004 and has been a pioneer for women in athletics. She played tennis at W.B. Ray High School, and after graduating college, she earned a spot in the inaugural tryouts for the USA softball team for the 1979 Pan-American Games and helped Team USA win gold in Puerto Rico. During her career, Marshall has received numerous honors, including being named one of the 10 most influential women in Texas high school football by Dave Campbell's Texas Football. She was also inducted into the Texas Athletic Directors Hall of Fame and received the Texas High School Coaches Association Judy Conrad Award for serving as a positive role model and helping advance girls and women in athletics. The district will post the position and expect to have a new athletics leader in place for the new school year. As the Memorial Day holiday approaches, the Texas Department of Public Safety is urging drivers to drive with care on all Texas roads. Beginning Wednesday, DPS Troopers in the Corpus Christi district will be patrolling and participating in a statewide effort to enforce the move over or slow down law that requires drivers to move over or slow down when approaching emergency or service vehicles stopped on the side of the road. If the road has multiple lanes, drivers are required to change lanes and move away from the stopped vehicle if it is safe to do so. If you can't switch lanes, you must slow down by 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit. On roads with a speed limit under 25 miles per hour, drivers will need to slow down to 5 miles per hour. Violating that law can result in fines of up to $1,250. And if someone gets hurt because a driver didn't follow the law, the driver could face a state jail felony charge. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality issued over 15 violations to the city of Seadrift's water supply system. Public Works Director Gino Abshir reported several violations from TCEQ regarding the city's water plants. Some violations involve the monitoring process for water pressure, pH levels, iron, and chlorine in water tanks. Abshir says some of the issues like emergency power have already been solved, and others are still being worked on, like the creation of a distribution map. He says the ideal system includes a central ground storage tank that connects the city's separate wells. Currently, the city can only tap into one well at a time. TCEQ's violation notice functions as a warning, and penalties won't be assessed until a further review. The penalties may be less harsh if the commission sees tangible progress on the listed issues. Seadrift is continuing their improvements to the water supply system after issuing a state of disaster notice in January due to the dangerously low levels in the water system. Students in Beeville have something to look forward to come August 2026. A brand new elementary school is on the way. Joe Smikle spoke with Pfluger Architects principal Connie Rivera for the rest of the story.
Beeville Elementary School students have a new building to look forward to in 2026. Pfluger Architects and Spa Glass General Contractors are constructing the new building for Beeville Independent School District, the first since 1967. Years of planning and voter approval of a $62 million bond in the spring of 2024 make possible the new, roughly 110,000 square foot Beeville Elementary School, which will serve 1,200 students starting in August 2026. The modern, pod-based, flexible learning environment consolidates two aging, 50-year-old schools into one modern campus. Connie Rivera, architect and managing principal for Pfluger Architects, explains.
We were brought to the table late in 2023, helped them with their community advisory committee, figuring out what are some of the priorities regarding the district, what are some urgent needs, and what are some things that can be later phases and all of that sort of stuff, and then figuring out what could believably the community would support in terms of a bond. And so technology's changed a little bit, and also they were also looking at wanting to be, because it was an open campus, open breezeways, that sort of thing, and with the new security requirements by TEA, they knew that this campus could not fulfill those. And so what does a closed campus look like? They were also looking at consolidating both of their elementary schools to create one larger campus, and we still want that to feel friendly and safe.
Pfluger Architects updated the campus and implemented a more people-friendly design.
Right. Well, and we wanted to create, an environment that is secure, but doesn't look like a prison, doesn't feel like a prison. It feels open and light, but students feel safe right? They learn better when their parasympathetic systems are not on high alert, you know. And so we want them to feel like there's opportunities for them to collaborate together, and there's opportunities for them to kind of retreat into their own cocoon if they need to do that. And so a child, whether they want to play with others or be on their own, there's opportunities to do that and in a way that is safe.
This is Joe Smikle for KEDT News.
The Hidalgo County Community Service Agency is doing what it can as the Rio Grande Valley continues to wait for federal approval for financial assistance. After this past March's flood, this Wednesday, the agency will hold its latest rounds of disaster relief assistance to low-income, vulnerable households in areas affected by the floods in Hidalgo County. The event will be at the Hidalgo Public Library at 704 East Roman Ayala Drive in Hidalgo. The event will start at 9 a.m., but assistance will only be available to the first 150 families. Applicants can receive $500 to assist them in recovering from the floods. Those wanting to apply for assistance must bring a valid photo ID or driver's license, proof of income of the previous 30 days for all household members ages 18 and older, photos of the damage, and proof of address. U.S. Senators John Cornyn, Texas Republican, and Gary Peters, Michigan Democrat, recently introduced the Securing America's Ports of Entry Act. The act would strengthen border security, address personal shortages at ports of entry, and ensure America's airports, seaports, and land ports of entry are fully staffed. It would require U.S. Customs and Border Protection to hire at least 1,000 additional officers annually until the agency's staffing needs are met. Senator Cornyn said in part in a statement, when ports of entry aren't sufficiently staffed, we run the risk of legitimate trade and travel grinding to a halt. Nowhere do we feel this more acutely than in Texas, where we have more ports of entry than any other state. Victoria County Judge Ben Zeller will invite a notable guest for the next iteration of Coffee with the Judge, as former State Representative Jeannie Morrison joins for a meet and greet session this Friday. Judge Zeller and Morrison will meet at Bloom and Flower at 206 North Liberty Street from 7:45 to 8:45 a.m. this Friday. Complimentary coffee and pastries will be served, and there is no cost to attend. In state news, the Texas House has just over 2 weeks left to give Senate bills their critical second reading. Houston Public Media's Andrew Schneider has a roundup of some of the bills that are poised to make that critical deadline following action in the House over the weekend.
Before the House can vote on a bill, the bill must be sent to the calendars for scheduling. Among the bills sent to the calendars on Saturday were two authored by Houston Senator Paul Bettencourt. Senate Bill 4 would raise the property tax homestead exemption to $140,000, up from $100,000 now. SB 2010 would ban local governments from enacting guaranteed income programs. That could be the final nail in the coffin for Harris County's Uplift Harris program, which has been stalled in the courts. A third bill, which went to the calendars late Friday, was SB 16 by Northeast Texas Senator Brian Hughes. That bill would require proof of U.S. citizenship in order to register to vote. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
Better news for some West Texas counties impacted by the measles outbreak. KTTZ's Samantha Larned says the Texas Department of State Health Services is reporting a decrease in the number of new cases.
From Tuesday to Friday this week, Gaines, Terry, and Lubbock counties did not report any new measles cases. Those three counties have been the most affected by the outbreak so far. Garza County and Lynn County were also removed as designated outbreak counties, since 2 incubation periods have passed since their last known case was considered infectious. Fewer than 10 confirmed Texas measles cases are currently deemed, quote, actively infectious. And no new counties have reported cases with the state health department, but New Mexico's health department has confirmed its first case in Curry County. In Lubbock, I'm Samantha Larned.
Senator Cornyn says the U.S. Department of Justice is investigating Epic City. KERA's Caroline Love says Cornyn sent the Attorney General a letter about the proposed Muslim housing development last month.
Cornyn asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to look into potential religious discrimination and Sharia law at the unbuilt Epic City. Governor Greg Abbott and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton have also launched several investigations of the project. The proposed housing development is associated with the East Plano Islamic Center. Dan Cogdell is the attorney for Epic. He told KERA in a previous interview the investigations are misguided and unnecessary.
They're doing everything they can to comply with the law.
Paxton recently announced he's running against Cornyn in the GOP primary for U.S. Senate. I'm Caroline Love in Dallas.
State lawmakers want to rename the New York strip steak as the Texas Strip to promote the country's leading producer of beef. As News 88.7's Adam Zuvinich reports, that's a problem for some in the Empire State.
Probably the most important piece of legislation of the session.
That was State Representative Ken King from the Texas Panhandle. He appeared to be joking as he introduced Senate Resolution 46 to the House Committee on State Affairs. He expressed support for the measure, but it was left pending Friday morning without a discussion. It's no laughing matter to Todd Shapiro, who owns a steakhouse near the New York State Capitol in Albany. He says renaming the strip steak would hurt his business, and he plans to sue if that's what Texas lawmakers do.
We have a beef with Texas, and we have a stake in this bill. So
it was promoted by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and already passed the Senate. I'm Adam Zuvinich in Houston.
And in college baseball, it'll be Texas A&M Corpus Christi and UT Rio Grande Valley facing off in the first round of the Southland Conference Championship Tournament. The Islanders recently concluded their regular season on a high note, hanging on to a series against New Orleans to secure the number 7 seed in the SLC Baseball Championship. UT-RGV enters the tournament as the number 2 seed in the Edinburgh bracket. Game time is set for 6 p.m. Thursday at UT-RGV Baseball Stadium. You can watch that game on ESPN+. And speaking of baseball, stay tuned right after South Texas Midday for our first episode of A Day in the Life series featuring the Corpus Christi Hooks organization. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp, your community arts calendar, and more is on the way.